We are pausing the series right now. Trump 2.0 is paused for the hecticness that is happening today. This week, there has been an incident in Minnesota involving Border Patrol and a crazy liberal woman who was protesting, with the hugest abbreviations around that because what she was doing was not in the rounds of protesting. She was following ICE. She had been following them for the morning and guiding people to them and blocking traffic, blocking the road. I mean, you know what happened. I'm here to react with you guys to Amala Epkenobi's video. I saw her thumbnail and I thought, okay, this is the one I need to react to. And she actually did two, so she just dropped another one, and they both seem like legitimate need to be pushed out there, so I want to talk about it and react to it and also give my opinion during it. But before I start, hello, hi, hello, hey, hi, hello. I am Heaven. It is nice to see you, nice to meet you. You are here at Heavenly at Home. We are reacting today, as you have already heard. Mostly I do vlog here, so if you enjoy hanging out with me, subscribe. Let's jump into this right away.
All right, guys, today we're going to be diving deeper into the ICE Minneapolis shooting that took the life of Renee Good. A lot has been happening overnight. A ton of protests, riots. People are assaulting the ICE agents. We have a video of a woman telling them to shoot her and kill her, which is crazy. We'll get to that. Politicians like Jacob Fry and Tim Walz are making some crazy statements. And that's crazy with a capital C. And JD Vance is dropping mics responding to the media on what's taken place in Minneapolis. So
those are all perfect points to make, so I'm so glad I clicked this as a source. Just knew it, followed that intuition. Thank you, Amala Epkenobi. If you guys don't follow her yet, go follow her. At least go watch a few of her videos, because she used to be a lefty, and she likes to talk about her experience changing and shifting her mindset, and I think it's very interesting to hear. Also because, like, I might not be like a former lefty, but I did used to be like more left-leaning, right? Like, I'm still pro-gay. I'm still pro, like, real trans, just not this fraudulent stuff. But anyways, that's so off topic. Okay, let's jump into this.
Today we're going to run through all that, try to give you our best update possible. And we're going to start with Renee Good. This is the 37-year-old woman who lost her life at the hands of the ICE agents after driving her car into him. Now, some investigation has been done. She was part of an ICE watch warrior group, I guess, that was training around resisting the feds. And she was doing this before the shooting, as the New York Post states here. It says Good, who moved to the city last year, linked up with an anti-ICE activist through her 6-year-old son's woke charter school, which boasts that it, quote, puts social justice first, end quote, and prioritizes, quote, involving kids in political and social activism, end quote. So that's interesting. Quote, she was a warrior. She died doing what was right, end quote. A mother named Lisa, whose child attends the same school, told the Post at a growing vigil where Good was killed on Wednesday. In this image here, it says Good and her wife, Rebecca, 40, were raising the boy together in a mostly working class, activist heavy neighborhood of South Minneapolis, which features tree-lined streets and a large number of homes with windows decked out in LGBTQ plus flags or signs depicting George Floyd. So we're getting a little bit of background knowledge here.
Well, the left has a new hero, and it's no longer George Floyd. It's Ms. Good, right? The mother of 3, who was killed when she tried to run down an ICE official. Now, it's come out that this woman, she wasn't just a paid protester, she was a trained agitator. Okay, and as far as her being a mother of 3, yes, but she only had custody of one of her children because of allegations of child abuse. And the allegations of child abuse are also related to her partner. But Minnesota, you guys can pick them. You know, and they have raised over $1 million. Now, I don't know where this money's going to go. Is it going to go to her kids, her partner? So, as far as I'm concerned, probably somebody, one of the Somalians, might set up that account. So, God bless her soul. But that is the new hero of the left. And they can pick them.
I was trying to find a timeline of the radicalization of Renee Good, and Did you guys know that she had enrolled her kid in a charter school in Minneapolis that was training parents to fight ICE? Because she absolutely did. The New York Post has an article out where they dug into this Southside family charter school a little bit. Apparently this school is where Renee Good, who was fairly new to Minneapolis, was introduced to ICE protesting in the first place. Oddly enough, this school sounds way worse than a Leering Center. It was opened in 1972 to have an unabashed focus on social justice education. No, really, this is straight from their website. We integrate social justice into every grade level, telling the stories of the people, not the people in power, and helping students understand history and their role in making the world a better place. A gym teacher who retired last month said that current events like George Floyd were a regular part of the curriculum. This is for little kids. So the article goes on to say that it was through her involvement with the community at Southside Family Charter School that Renee Good got involved with ICE Watch, a group dedicated to disrupting ICE. Another mom at the school identified as Lisa, saying Renee Good was trained against these ICE agents, what to do, what not to do. It's very thorough training. And this ICE Watch group apparently had become a lot more organized and a lot more radical, making connections with other extremely radical groups there in the Twin Cities. And this was a school for her 6-year-old. So she was further radicalized at a school for her 6-year-old in a city that she had just moved to. And she was already pretty radical. She and her partner fled Kansas City to Canada after the election of Donald Trump in 2024, and then moved back down to Minneapolis, where all of this ended up occurring. So this is completely insane, and it just keeps getting worse and worse. And it seems like Nick Shirley just found the tip of the iceberg there in Minneapolis, because in addition to a bunch of fraudulent fake Somali daycares, there's also a charter school training up moms to fight federal agents. Yeah, they can try anything they want to try and distract us from this nest of radicals up in Minneapolis, but I want some hearings.
We, of course, yesterday spoke about the fact that she was intentionally at this ICE operation and was intentionally obstructing the roadway for these ICE agents with the intent of stopping them from doing their jobs, which is never something you want to do, especially with federal law enforcement. And of course, we recapped the footage that clearly shows her driving into the ICE agent and then subsequently being shot. And it seems as though she's had some training background, or at least some work in some activist groups, some organizer groups, which I'm quite familiar with, to sort of place her in this position, which is really not surprising at all, especially with what's happening on different school grounds here across the US these days. The left has infiltrated these spaces, and they're using them as a means of mobilizing people. And we've actually recently reacted to Sia Weaver, who is on Zohran Mamdani's team in New York City, talking about mobilizing people by getting into their school systems and utilizing the public schools as a weapon against the regime.
Yeah, so I'm hoping she talks about that in the next part of this video too, so stay around if you're interested in hearing more about the coming of communism. A lot of people don't believe it's real. Like, a lot of people really think it's just some hoax, I guess you could say. Like another Red Scare, but there's like proof. And I'm sure in the Red Scare, it probably was very proven. They probably just call it that, you know?
Or the authoritarian government that they believe to be present in Trump's administration. So that seems to be a driving influence here. Now, we're also learning more about the ICE agent who ended up taking Renee's life. He was involved in an incident last year.
I'm sorry, guys. I'm smiling because I'm laughing at, she's got like her little closet there. It looks really cute. I'm not laughing at what she's talking about. I just want to make that clear.
Where he was actually dragged by a vehicle.
ICE arrest in the Twin Cities is leading to even more charges.
This home security video shows the driver taking off during a traffic stop, dragging a deportation officer with him. New at 10, WCCO's Uba Ali walks us through this video and the political firestorm behind it.
What began as a planned federal immigration arrest took a violent turn in this quiet Bloomington neighborhood. And it was all caught on camera. According to a federal complaint, agents were executing a warrant for 39-year-old Roberto Carlos Munoz. They say Munoz entered the...
This is freaking evil incarnate. This is what evil looks like when it comes to Earth. It doesn't look like demons, okay? It looks like this. It looks like ideology, and it disguises itself as some type of religion or spirituality, but the only ties it has is to how you're feeling and to where your headspace is, which is so unsafe. Like, it's so crazy. It honestly, like, the times that we're living in truly do remind me of that movie Demon Hunters. Like, I know it sounds stupid, but K-pop Demon Hunters, like, I think she is that woman who wrote that. She is so in tune with God, and she's trying to wake up the kids. Like, it has to be that. And I see it. Like, I wanted to make a video about it. I even have like pieces of it. I just never got to finish it. Yeah, I truly believe this is demons on Earth now, officially. This is what's going on. There's been enough rituals happening. I know this is crazy. This sounds crazy, but I truly believe this is tied to the elite reptilian group who does satanic rituals. I think this is what happens when you scar the realms and like the not the realms themselves, but the boundaries between the realms. I think that Stargate has messed with stuff. Like, there's so much stuff going on that's so not good spiritually. I won't get into anything more because that's so off topic, but I truly believe this is evil manifesting.
Country unlawfully, and he also pled guilty to fourth-degree criminal sexual conduct back in 2023 for abusing a minor. Agents pulled him over. Court documents say he repeatedly refused to comply before a federal agent took out his spring-loaded window punch with his right hand and broke the driver's side rear window. These images show the officer's hand in the vehicle. In this video, you can see the driver take off with the agent hanging from the car, dragging him 300 feet through front yards.
I'm freezing it there. I am going to show this, okay? 300 yards he was dragged. That is disgusting that people are talking about him getting fired. It's so disgusting. These people are being told to protest against our government right now by the media and by Democratic heads, and it is pushing these emotionally bound people to go and actually do it. And look at what's happening. These people who put on a badge every day to protect our country are being wounded. Evil. Freaking evil.
So there you have that. I guess he's no stranger to cars and vehicles being used as a weapon against him. And that's exactly what happened in this instance here. And of course, there's going to be a further investigation into this, and probably further investigation into the claim that she was trying to flee rather than strike the officer, even though we all know what ended up happening at the end of the day is that she struck him. So there you have it. Just last year, he'd gone through a...
And also, if maybe she didn't know this yet, but the wife literally is screaming, "Drive, baby, drive!" Right before she hits the gas. It's really disgusting to see.
A similar situation, which may or may not have put him at the ready to handle the situation that Renee put him in by driving forward into him. So that's a bit of information. And beyond that, this has been an ongoing issue for ICE agents, and we've spoken about this. Now,
the exact number is 3,200%. 3,200% violence with vehicles has risen against officers.
Megan here posts, there have been more than 100 vehicular ramming incidences targeting ICE and CPB agents in the last year, more than 100. For example, in October in Chicago, an ICE officer was hit by a car and dragged under the vehicle, sustaining serious injuries. And just last month in St. Paul, 2 ICE agents were hit by a vehicle during an arrest. So you also have the history of this agent mixed with what's been happening around the country. And a lot of people and leftist activists who are trying to infringe upon these operations that ICE is putting on are having these little watch groups where they're listening in on scanners and trying to figure out where ICE agents are in order to show up and disrupt the different raids and operations that they're trying to carry out. And where somebody in their mind thinks that's a good idea is beyond me, and we're going to get to that, and we're going to get to better ways, if you're anti-ICE, to go about fighting this fight that you decided to pick up in the name of what? I don't know, illegal immigration. It's just kind of wild to me that somebody would lose their life on this particular issue and in this particular way. It's such an unnecessary loss of life. I did for one moment want to...
That is what's really sad. I think she obviously could have... I say this a lot, and I'm going to continue to say it because it's the most important thing you and I will ever hear in our lives. Real change does not start outside of your life. It starts within yourself, within your family, and within the things that you can tangibly affect. That's how you create real change. Going out and digging into other people's purposes and other people's things and trying to stop other people's paths, right? Jumping into people's pathways when it's none of your business. That's not going to cause good karma for you. You need to focus on your life. And that's how you really create change, by being the example, be the lighthouse. That's what I call it, the lighthouse. The light in the dark when people don't know what to look for. Be the example, not the person blabbing how to behave. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous, and it helps nobody.
Levy a little bit of criticism to the ICE agents who were there in Minneapolis on that day. This clip is circulating a lot. The left is strongly making the argument that this clip somehow indicts them in her murder or execution, as they're calling it. So let's run it.
Can I go check a pulse?
No, back up now.
I'm a physician.
Hey, listen, I understand. We got EMS coming. I get it. Just give us a second. We have medics on scene.
That's it. That's the thing. That's what they're complaining about. So they've caused a traffic stop, blocked traffic, and now they're wondering why it's taking so long for a vehicle to get in. I can't stand how stupid they are.
How can I relax? You just killed my neighbor right in the face. You killed my neighbor.
Okay, so there's the clip. We're going to investigate this further, and you guys can correct me if I'm wrong on this. There could have been a way for these ICE agents to, I think, confirm that this guy was a physician and allow him to go and check on her going down.
They probably knew she was dead, honestly. I mean, that was a kill shot. They probably knew she was dead.
She may have been far, far too gone by this point, and they may or may not have known that. But having medics on the way is not the same as having a physician right in front of you who can go and check on a patient and give life-saving CPR if that is something that is a possibility there. Now, it seems pretty clear, at least so far, and maybe I'll be corrected on this, that CPR and a life-saving maneuver was not going to work in this instance. That she was too far gone. But of course, we don't know because nobody was there to check.
That was like a headshot. That was like a straight. I'm sorry to be so brutally honest so early on, but y'all were very brutally honest within seconds of Charlie Kirk getting assassinated. Okay, I take that back. You guys were actually not brutally honest. You were just brutally hateful and mean and disgusting. So yeah, I'm sorry, but she probably died pretty quickly. I doubt he could have helped.
Now, of course, after this, riots, protests are breaking out. People are following ICE agents, finding them in the streets, surrounding them, screaming things at them. Here's a clip. A bunch of women are just screaming in their faces.
These women are so stupid. Like, there's nothing worse than a white liberal woman. It's been proven now. It's been proven by everybody. Okay, even by this, like the past like 380 days, they've proven there is nothing worse for Earth than a white liberal woman. Look at Europe.
So what happened just now is that these Border Patrol officers have gotten themselves
I'm telling you, I want to see those crybaby style riot vans. I want to see them. I want to see these people round up, put in front of a judge that night. What happened to that style of court? I want to see like night court. Remember night court? And it's like you see all the punks in the background, like 2 a.m. being charged. What happened to that, dude? What's going on? This is why we need to make America great again. There's no justice. There's no more accountability.
This is deranged behavior, guys. I don't know. I'm surprised worse is not taking place in the wake of all this with how people are acting. You should not be treating law enforcement officers and agents in this way. You should not be surrounding them, attempting to assault them, getting in their face.
I'm going to pause it just to say the reason that it's not so bad is because USAID was shut down. That's why. So the Democrats have lost a lot of their money that they were using to pay protesters. Like, look at BLM. Look how big that got, right? They had so much money to funnel in. Oh, and now they can't. USAID, Doge helped us there. Thank you, Doge. Thank you.
Screaming things at them, regardless of how you feel about the situation that's taken place. Take it up with your representatives. Take it up with your legislators. Work with your local government if you want to fight this particular fight. Do not go and verbally and physically assault people who are doing their jobs. And I think politicians are egging this on, which we're going to get to and show some clips of that, where they're saying that, that the ICE doesn't belong in Minneapolis and the National Guard, they're Minnesotans too. And we can do something about this to get these people out. You're communicating to people that they should go and follow these ICE agents, that they should try to run them out of the city. And it's not going to end well for anybody involved.
And you know what bugs me so much about that I've been thinking about a lot? They keep saying, the people united will never be divided or defeated. They like to mix it up. But either way, they're marching to stay divided. Like, that's their goal, to divide from America that voted for this. So I don't know why they keep saying that, because they're dividing us. It's like, as
when I was a leftist, I was around a lot of organizers who would have meetings about different protests that they would put on. And many of these groups, prior to going into these protests, agree upon who's going to get arrested, who's going to really create the most sound, the most noise, who's going to go the furthest. And they would plan ahead of time for these actions. I don't know that that's the case and what's happening here, but as we find out more about the background of this, and we find out more about these different ICE watch groups and people who are organizing around this, I would not be surprised if similar things are taking place today in some of these organizer spaces and in some of these rooms surrounding these protests and these riots. Here's another clip of a woman, I guess, screaming for them to shoot her.
ahead! Go ahead! Go ahead! Shoot me! Shoot me! Go ahead! Shoot me! Shoot me! Shoot me! You wanna shoot me? You wanna shoot me? Shoot me! Go ahead! Shoot me! Shoot me!
I'm sorry. It's just so crazy. It's so insane. Talk about emotionally charged, right? Like, talk about reacting. Oh my God, they don't get it. They just don't get it. Oh God. Did you guys see the other lady who was crying because she's white? She's like, I shouldn't be crying because I'm white and white tears help nothing.
Just day aside because I was like, I don't know if it's the right thing to do. It feels kind of wrong. The main part of it is being like a white woman that.
Oh, okay. Got it.
It's the white guilt.
Okay. And I have a lot of privilege.
Right.
So I feel like white tears are not always something that's helpful or necessary.
So
They are.
retarded.
In this case, honey, they're not helpful. No.
Oh my
You know what? She's right.
I shouldn't even be here because I'm white.
Help me! Shame on you! I'm your grandmother!
Shoot me, pepper spray me.
Isn't Minnesota the one who just passed the laws to suicide yourself too? So just remember what happened to Canada, okay? What they're doing there. They're pushing people to kill themselves for simple minor things now. So good going, Minnesota. Commies.
Hurt me. Shame on you. I'm your grandmother. This is very, very strange behavior, guys. And again, it plays into a lot of what I just said before about this like pre-planning to get arrested. I'm not saying that's what's happening here, but clearly she's walking in with that particular mindset. A lot of these people want aggression. They want violence. They want something that can be publicized. And I'm going to go ahead and say it. A lot of the politicians who are reacting in an inflammatory way to what's taken place also want this to happen. And this is wild. And we heard similar things after Renee Good lost her life. People were showing up to fight with ICE agents. One guy tried to grab an ICE agent's weapon, ended up getting, pepper sprayed or like shot with one of those bullets that explodes and creates a whole problem for you. And they're saying things like kill another person, shoot someone else, kill us, because they know what happens on the other end of that. They are pushing for aggression. They're trying to, have the temperature rise on this because we can then start painting these individuals as Nazi and Gestapo when in reality, we know that they're not. And had you not infringed upon their operation and tried to obstruct the roadway in the first place, we wouldn't be in this situation. But I digress. Here's another video of people threatening ICE.
Fuck you! You're gonna fucking die, bitch!
Demonic behavior.
She's saying we're gonna kill you, you're gonna die. Did you hear that? We're gonna hunt you the fuck down.
I bet the reason she doesn't have a job is because of that temperament. Demon, I'm telling you, demons love when you get mad. Demons love anger. They love rage. They love fear. They feed off that shit. Demons!
It's just unbelievable that people think they can treat other people in this way, regardless of your political affiliation or how you feel about this issue. She should be arrested. And people are just so confused about what the different laws are in this country, whether or not ICE is actual law enforcement, whether or not you're able to just go and obstruct a roadway and get in the way of something. People are confused, saying things like if you're fleeing from police officers, they can't.
Yeah, I don't know why they're saying that.
Strike them with a vehicle. The amount of just complete lack of literacy, media literacy, legal literacy in this country is astounding. And these are the people taking to the streets and they're screaming the loudest. The people who are
and a lot of them are teachers.
Right now, I'm going to play you a clip of Tim Walz, or your governor in Minnesota, who's not running for re-election. And I guess on his way out, he's just going to pour gasoline on the dumpster fire and then fan the flames a little bit and then see his way out after millions, if not billions of dollars in fraud took place under his watch and maybe with his involvement. We don't know. Let's watch this clip.
And it's clear, look, I don't know, I don't think any governor in history has had to fight a war against the federal government every single day.
Well, I said this yesterday. We've never been at war with our federal government.
what a strange thing to say. You're not at war with the federal government now, except you are sort of encouraging your citizens to engage in wanting to create one, which is why this has taken place. And then he goes on in another press conference, I believe, to say that he's not using inflammatory language, and then refers to Kristi Noem as an executioner moments later in that very same statement. These guys know what they're doing. They know the way that their language is fanning the flames of what's already taken place, and they do not care. They do not care because they're not going to be the ones who bear the brunt of what takes place in Minnesota after this. You are. The American people are, the ICE agents are, and they don't give a damn whose life is lost on the other end of this. They don't care that people are getting in the way of federal law enforcement trying to do their jobs. They don't care that this is completely misguided and misinformed. They're just going to continue speaking like this. And Jacob Frey, the mayor in Minneapolis, we recently reacted to him saying ICE needs to get the
and I have a message for ICE. To ICE, get the fuck out of Minneapolis. We do not want you here. Your stated reason for being in this city is to create some kind of safety, and you are doing exactly the opposite. People are being hurt. Families are being ripped apart. Long-term Minneapolis residents that have contributed so greatly to our city, to our culture, to our economy are being terrorized, and now somebody is dead. That's on you.
Get out of here. Get out of here, man. Shit, I'm saying.
He's doubling down on this statement after he received a ton of pushback saying that he was fanning the flames of what's going on. Here's the clip.
Just after you told ICE to get the F out of the city, I've seen a lot of Republicans here in Washington criticizing those comments, saying that you're escalating tensions with that. Can you respond to them? And what do you say to them tonight, people who criticize those comments?
I'm so sorry if I offended their Disney princess ears, but here's the thing. If we're talking about what's inflammatory, on the one hand, you got someone who dropped an F-bomb, and on the other hand, you got someone who killed somebody else.
Okay, and that's a really great way of skirting the question and creating, somewhat of a false narrative around what he said. Nobody's upset that you dropped the F-bomb. Okay, the F-bomb is not the part of that statement that people are criticizing and giving you pushback for. It's the get out of Minneapolis that you gave to ICE, which is telling people that it is their job and their right to push federal law enforcement out of their city, and it is not. So when you as mayor, somebody who's supposed to be representing these people and speaking within their best interest, encourage these people to do more against ICE agents, that's what's problematic. Not the F word, but it's a very brilliant way of him trying to get away from actually answering the question and actually being held accountable for his inflammatory language.
Typical politician. Typical politician.
F-bomb, killing somebody. The more inflammatory action is killing somebody. And once again, let's be real and just honest and straight up about what's happening here. This is not okay. The way they're coming in.
Are her eyebrows getting pointier and thicker every day? What is happening to her face? I'm sorry. She used to be so pretty. And now I'm gonna say something I shouldn't. I question if she's a woman.
Into cities, not just Minneapolis.
It is, because they're federal law enforcement and they're carrying out a mandate from the American people, by the way, who voted for Donald Trump in this administration, to tamp down the illegal immigration in this country, to go and deport illegal immigrants who are in this country, most of whom are committing crimes in this country or have committed crimes back in their homeland on top of coming into this country illegally. So what is he talking about that it's not right for federal law enforcement to go and do their job around this nation? And again, it is telling people that if you get in the way of their operations and their raids, you are in the right and they are in the wrong. And therefore, anything that ICE does to respond to that inherently puts them in the wrong. And it's just not true.
But around the country is not okay. Whether you're a Democrat or a Republican, you should understand the importance of constitutional law enforcement. You should understand the importance of not discriminating based on race and randomly plucking people off the street because they're Somali or Latino. And especially from what we've seen, you should also understand the importance of de-escalating tense situations.
And we're hearing this from the de-escalator himself.
Not killing people and yanking out a gun.
Okay, and guess what we're going to find? This is constitutionally protected. That's what we're going to find. He will never probably experience anything like that in his life. He does not know how somebody feels in that situation. He does not know how he would respond to that situation. Yet he can sit here in his little ivory tower news booth and talk about how a police officer should have or should not have responded to a threat to their life, to being in imminent danger. And that's what you're going to hear from the Tim Walls and the Jacob Freys of it all. And luckily, we get a response from J.D. Vance on this. And he gets confronted with what these politicians have said. And this is what our vice president says.
we may be in that moment now. Can you comment on his rhetoric and Mayor Jacob Frey and whether they want to see unrest in Minneapolis?
Well, it's very tough rhetoric from a guy who just quit because his fraudulent activities have been uncovered. Look, Tim Walz is a joke. His entire administration has been a joke. The idea that he's some sort of freedom fighter, he's not. He's a guy who has enabled fraud and maybe, in fact, has participated in fraud. That's what this new Assistant Attorney General position is going to find out. I don't care what Tim Walz says. I care about getting to the bottom of this fraud for the American people, and I care about enforcing the nation's immigration laws. That's what we're going to stay focused on.
Yeah, and I'm going to go ahead and say something here. These politicians, they're focusing so much on this ICE shooting, which is clearly an act of self-defense, because they know it is detracting from the ongoing fraud investigation that's happening right now in Minneapolis and in Minnesota. They know that they are likely indicted in that fraud investigation, and that this shooting has happened at a particularly interesting time for them, because they can now push that onto the American people through the media and keep their eyes over here, focusing while they do the sleight of hand of covering up the fraud that they've been committing. And luckily, J.D. Vance, I believe, just opened up a new job in the Attorney General's office to investigate this fraud on a full-scale level, not just in Minnesota, but across the nation. And we'll see what happens to both Tim Walz and Jacob Frey on the other end of that, because there's a ton of speculation that these two individuals have been heavily involved in the fraud that's taken place in that state. And so interesting now that they don't want to speak about that. All they want to do is go forward and talk about this shooting and getting ICE out of Minneapolis, and none of this would ever happen to our Somali citizens if they would have never been here in the first place. Very interesting. Keep your eyes on them and keep your eyes on what they talk about, because I guarantee it's not going to be the ongoing fraud cases that are taking place in their state. We have one more clip here from J.D. Vance.
Well, being part of the network doesn't justify being shot, but ramming an ICE officer with your car, that's what justifies being shot. It's not a good thing, by the way, but when you force somebody to engage in self-defense, it's almost a preposterous question. I'm not saying that funding some of this stuff justifies capital punishment. Nobody would suggest that. The reason this woman is dead is because she tried to ram somebody with her car, and that guy acted in self-defense. That is why she lost her life, and that is the tragedy. Now, there may be other violations of the law and other penalties that are associated with those violations of the law. For example, if you are funding violence against our law enforcement officers, I'm not a prosecutor. My guess is that's not the sort of thing that earns capital punishment, but it should sure as hell earn you a few years in prison if you're funding the effort to try to assault our law enforcement officers. What is it? I'm sorry, guys. What's going on here? You guys are meant to report the truth. How have you let yourself become agents of propaganda of a radical fringe that's making it harder for us to enforce our laws?
I wonder how much funding they get outside of the public news funding, if there's any evidence of any of that, because I'm sure that would motivate somebody to push lies and propaganda.
You just asked me a question that presumed that the reason why this woman died is because she was engaged in legitimate protest. She tried to run somebody over with her car, and the guy defended himself.
Protest isn't stalking members of the federal government to stop them from doing their job. That's not protesting.
When that happened.
Yeah, and there you have it. I keep seeing this argument. Police officers can't shoot you if you're trying to flee or if you're trying to run away. Not what was taking place here, arguably. Police officers can't shoot you for protesting. Not what took place here.
How about you can't run away when a cop tells you to stop and get out of your vehicle?
Officers can't shoot you for obstructing the roadway. It is what she was doing, but that's not why this woman ended up losing her life. And we've seen similar instances of this. I've seen clips circulating of a girl that they're saying got arrested for utilizing her free speech against ICE. Turns out she was obstructing a roadway and infringing upon, an operation, I believe, that was happening in the area. So you cannot do these things and not expect a response from law enforcement. And if you put a law enforcement officer in the position of having to defend his life, he is likely going to do that.
Especially when he's been hit with a vehicle 2 times in 6 months. This is the third time.
We have one more clip here from Scott Jennings of CNN, who, you know what, most of the time, if I want to see a reasonable take on something, you go to Scott Jennings, and he has to hold it down in the lion's den that is CNN.
But it strikes me that we are undergoing an epidemic of political vigilantism right now. Why are people showing up in vehicles, in convoys, not just in Minneapolis, but all over the country in an effort to obstruct lawful federal law enforcement activities?
It's a great question, too. And J.D. Vance brings this up as well. It's going to be very interesting to look into the group that this woman was allegedly a part of with her son's school. How did that group start? Is there another organization behind the group that is funding it?
Out of school again. That's freaking weird, dude. Like, if you guys don't see that as weird, I don't know how. It's like you're being willfully blind.
sending organizers to mobilize and get people together to organize around these different protests and these different actions that they're putting on to get in the way of ICE agents. And it's going to be very interesting to find out who's funding those organizations. When I was a member of a left-leaning organization, I was working for that organization, we would have similar meetings about going and starting protests, as I said at the top of this video. And as I said, they would plan for people to get arrested. They would plan how the protest was going to weigh out and how things were going to move. And I'm very curious to see if similar things are happening here surrounding ICE agents and infringing upon their operations.
This is not an isolated incident. We have had hundreds of car rammings against ICE agents all over the country. According to DHS, this lady in this car today, along with other vehicles, had been tracking ICE agents around. Why are people believing that they can drive their car into a federal law enforcement situation and that is an appropriate thing to do? I understand they don't like the fact that these agents are enforcing existing immigration law, but that's not how we change laws in this country. If you don't like a law, you talk to the politicians. You don't drive your car into the middle of a building or a law enforcement situation that's being occupied by the people who are simply there to enforce the law. If I don't like how much the IRS is charging me in taxes, I don't drive my car into the Treasury Department, try to run somebody over. I call my congressman. Political vigilantism is being encouraged by Democratic officials. Peggy Flanagan, who earlier this year
100%.
put your bodies on the line, and Tim Walz calling these guys Gestapo all year. What do you think happens when you radicalize a base of people
There you go. What do you think happens when you radicalize a base of people against these individuals, when you utilize language like this? This is the natural result. And it's so interesting these days to watch the response to this. I'm seeing people on social media respond to this and say, if you agree with this ICE agent who has shot this woman, you are disgusting, you're full of hatred, you're a Nazi, you're Gestapo, you'd be part of the SS. Just wild inflammatory statements, which make the jump from nonviolence to violence extremely easy. If you believe these individuals are Nazi Gestapo who are here to, carry out the visions of the Third Reich.
That's why it's not going to end, because they keep getting more enraged and more volatile.
And to kill and murder anybody who's in their way, your proclivity to jump to violence is going to be so high. The threshold is so low to move to that space.
I'm sorry, but people can't even wear a red hat in public without being attacked. Okay, so we're already there.
If that's the evil that you think you're up against, and that's why you're seeing such dramatic statements, such dramatic actions from people in response to things like this, and even before this situation took place. It is the reason that Renee Nicole Good was there in the streets that day in the first place, because of radical language, the weaponization of language, and the manipulation on a mass scale of individuals to go and fight this current administration in every single thing that they try to do. Okay, never mind the fact that what ICE agents are trying to do all over this country is a good thing for the American people. Never mind that. It's just insane the amount, the mass scale manipulation of people to put themselves in these situations. And on the other end of it, where a woman, a mother, a wife has lost her life, unfortunately so, okay, due to brainwashing into committing an act like this, the politicians are encouraging you more, okay, which means what do they want to see? They know where their rhetoric has led them. They know the rhetoric has led to violence. They know the rhetoric has led to death, and they continue to use the rhetoric. They don't care if you die.
They're calling it a civil war for a reason. They want us to go after each other. And there's one side who is volatile and enraged and will do it.
They don't care if their supporters are shot by ICE agents. They don't care if they come and create more destruction and end up losing their lives on the other end of it. They are using you as pawns, as pieces in a chess game where it seems as though they're committing fraud on the other end of this and then covering it up with your deaths. So, I mean, if you think about it long enough, it is dystopian and dark and horrific, and it shows you just the deep set corruption that exists in our government as it stands today. So if you're going to listen to anybody, regardless of how you feel about the situation, maybe listen to the person who tells you to stay out of the situation where you could lose your life. Maybe listen to the person on the other end of this as being, cool,
Okay, so with that, let's move on to the next part of this video, reacting to the woke reaction.
So today we're going to react to some of those TikToks and hopefully give a cool-headed response. We're going to get into number one here, which might be the craziest of the ones that I have for today, where somebody says, quote, "It's time for everyone to start getting guns and shooting these ICE agents." This seems like the natural response to this, huh?
We, the people, need to start taking back this country, and immediately, because they have corrupt, fake-ass people in these placements like ICE that are allowed to be masked, covered, not identify, do whatever the fuck they want.
Okay, we spoke about this in our last video about this, where I said I think a lot of the reason this situation has taken place is because I think people are under this idea that ICE agents are fake. Like, it's just a made up form of law enforcement, that they're not real federal law enforcement, that they're not real agents, that you can come and infringe upon their jobs and their workspace and the different operations that they're putting on, and nothing is going to happen. And you see a lot of people referring to them as masked men, masked strangers.
I do believe that is not by accident. It started with who calling them masked strangers and kidnapping? Democratic heads and the media.
Random men, they're federal law enforcement. I keep stressing this in every video that I make about this because people are going around and tracking these ICE agents down, trying to get in the way of the operations that they're doing, and it's not going to end well for you because it's real law enforcement. You can't do that. Let's keep watching.
And murder people without knowing who they're killing, just killing civilians. And Trump's okay with this and is allowing this to happen, and it's now happening all over in the Midwest. This is not okay. What the fuck, America and Americans? How stupid are we to keep allowing this to happen? I say it's time for everybody to start getting guns and start coming out of their houses and start shooting these fucking ICE agents in the head when they start trying to take over people.
FBI.
He's not even the first one I've heard say it. There's quite a few people saying that online. There was one at a protest saying it.
And murdering people for trying to flee and for obeying a command to leave the area and then shooting her in the face like that after she drops her kid off at school. We have to show up with guns. We have to. There's no other way around it. I don't care if I don't have a Minnesota carry permit. I'm unarmed right now, but this is the last time I show up to face these guys without a weapon. There's no way. I got shot with a pepper ball 5 minutes after walking in here. I never laid a finger on them. I never raised a hand to them. I've only been using my voice. The time for speaking is over. The time for niceties is over. The time for peace is over. They fired the first shot. It is time to end this shit by any means necessary.
You're talking about, potentially going to a dark place in this country. Do you foresee
We're there. This is the dark place. This is the dark time. We have people being sent to Salvadorian concentration camps. We got other countries being raided for their oil. We're in the dark time. There's no way out of this. There's no voting our way out of this. We can't wait till November. There's no waiting to the ballot box. We need to get to the bullet box.
911, hello, he's right over here. You can't do this kind of stuff, guys. And I know there are hotheads in response to this. There's a lot of people who are really, really upset. I'm seeing it all over social media. It is not your right to go and infringe upon the operation of federal law enforcement. You cannot go and do this. And to advocate for more violence in the wake of everything that's taken place in this country and has been taking place for a really long time now, it's just such an awful response, okay? And we already have enough people who are trying to track down these ICE agents and get in the way of their work and harm them.
And it doesn't matter because they're continuing the rhetoric. That's why every headline used this the way they could, right? They right away said, ICE shoots innocent woman who was picking up her child.
See, as the temperature is rising and rising and rising in response to this, nobody's coming and calmly saying, hey, maybe we stay out of the way of federal law enforcement operations. Maybe it is not your job as a citizen in this country to get in the way of everything that they're trying to do. If you want to change the laws in this country, change the laws in this country, okay? And advocate for that and fight for it and organize around that. But do not go park your car in the middle of the street trying to block ICE agents from being able to do their job. And when they tell you to get out of the car, drive your car forward into them, because it is the natural result that you end up being shot and you lose your life.
I am noticing that the same crowd 3 or 4 months ago who was all up in arms talking about, I don't care what someone's political beliefs are, they don't deserve to lose their life. They don't seem to uphold that belief today. I am noticing that the same...
Now, clearly this is in reference to Charlie Kirk. You saw...
Okay, so but if she got him, right? If she hit the officer, they'd be celebrating. Do you disagree? Because I truly believe if they hit that officer and he died, they'd be celebrating today. She'd probably still have a GoFundMe.
You saw after Charlie Kirk was shot on that Utah campus that people were saying nobody deserves this on the basis of their political discussions, where they stand on politics and political disagreements.
For some reason, I do not recollect the same thing as Amala. I remember about 80% of the Democratic Party celebrating and being excited. So there's that. One thing I did realize also is, you see how the streets are being burned down? Once again, we did not behave that way. We did not do that. And one of ours was assassinated for speaking.
And of course, we 100% stand by those statements. Now, Renee Good did not lose her life because of her political stance. I mean, you could argue that it sort of informed the way in which she lost her life and maybe led to the circumstances in which she lost her life. But she was not shot because she was a leftist, because she was anti-ICE. She was shot because she was in a car that was moving because of her actions towards an ICE officer.
This is not the police. ICE does not have the right to detain anyone. That's why people are protesting ICE, because they're exceeding their power. They have the right to ask people who they are. Yeah. They don't have the right to detain you or ask you to get out of your car. They are not the police. When they say, "Can I speak to you?" you can say no and walk away. We do not live in a nation that is a papers, please nation yet, which means people just can't walk up to you and go, "Who are you? Do you have the right to be here?" So when they told her to get out of her car, she said no, or didn't say anything and drove off. They should have let her go.
I wonder how quick Google could debunk him.
And the response to moving is not the death penalty.
Okay, guys, we live in a world these days, okay, where anybody can get on the internet. They can pull out their camera and start filming themselves and just so confidently give you incorrect information. And this incorrect information, in this instance, can literally lead to your death, okay? They are law enforcement. I know that people are coming out and you're going to see this common argument. These individuals are not police. They're not real cops. You know, they have no rights to detain you or to do anything. Okay, ICE agents are real law enforcement, okay? They're going around and doing operations and raids. They are detaining people. Now, typically those are people who are in this country illegally, and even more than that, people who are in this country illegally and who have committed crimes either in their home country or here in the United States. Okay, let's just pause. It says, don't forget to hug your sons so they don't grow up to shoot a totally innocent woman who is leaving 3 times in the face. I think we're just going to hear the same thing over and over. It's like the never-ending cycle. I think the narrative has been committed to in this instance as to her total innocence in this and her just wanting to flee the situation. And she's, a righteous, innocent individual who lost her life in this. And so long as that is a narrative on the left, you're going to continue to get videos like this. And now they're, I guess, making the point that this ICE agent has mommy issues, and that's the reason he decided to shoot a woman who was driving a car into him. Trust, guys, I don't think anybody who's in law enforcement wants to wake up on any day and go and shoot somebody. I mean, you may have an oddball or a few of them who are just trigger happy, power hungry individuals, but by and large, law enforcement do not want to go out and shoot somebody in the face. They don't want to take the life of a mother, of a wife. They hope to not find themselves in these situations, and they certainly don't want a car moving towards them to strike them. And that's unfortunately what happened on this day. And it's unfortunate for everybody involved. But of course, the woman who also lost her life, and she lost her life for really what in this instance? For something righteous, for something revolutionary? In my opinion, no. I mean, we have an issue in this country with illegal immigration. The ICE agents who are on the ground are doing the work to try and solve that problem. And they're also, if you want to battle this issue, the ICE agents are not the people you go to. They're doing the job. They're working just like everybody else. Go to your legislators, go to your politicians and your representatives and speak to them. Okay, don't obstruct the roadway and try to stop them from being able to go and do their jobs. Don't assault them. Don't hit them with a vehicle. Try to have conversations and organize if that's what you want to do, if that's the change you want to make.
It is illegal for law enforcement to end you because you broke the law. It is illegal for law enforcement to end you because you tried to run away. If a law enforcement officer believes you deserve to be ended, they are supposed to arrest you, take you to jail. You should get a trial where a judge and a court of your peers will decide your future. It is not up.
I bet if she got out of the car when they asked her to, they would have just arrested her. I bet they wouldn't have got her out and just, put a gun to her head. That definitely wouldn't have happened. She would have gone to jail.
Law enforcement to end your life by their own hands as they deem fit. If you do get away, it is their job to put out a search for you where you can be caught without losing your life.
Okay, I can't watch any more of these fools. That was Amala's last video, so we're going to leave it right there. And, there was so much I saw on my feed today, so if I have the time to come back on, I will.
Interfering with us, honking your horn, blocking our cars, you have a very high probability of making a really bad decision and being arrested today, okay?
I think I'm making exactly
I'm not.
the right decision.
Oh, then why are you giving her a warning? I'm giving her a warning to not interfere with what we're doing, to not make a bad decision today and ruin your life.
Well, bad decisions.
Thank you.
That's funny coming from you.
Okay, alrighty. Thank you. Have a good day.
I hope you have a terrible day.
Okay, thank you. Hold on.
people walking through here right now. You need to figure out how to turn around. That is the alleyway, not a parking space. You need to take a new turn. Please reverse your car and turn around. There's not another option right now.
Just out of curiosity, are you guys police? No?
Can I please do this right now?
No, I was just wondering.
Yep, thank you. We need to be on this.
So essentially what's happened here is that in the left-wing anarchy, right, in the absence of an actual police presence, because again I say MPD have surrendered the streets to the terrorists, here we have left-wingers now just deciding they're in charge and like law enforcement or government-sanctioned crossing guard would, are of course controlling the freaking traffic.
Again, these people are mentally unwell. This is not the way to push back against ICE agents. And that's just just look at the Minneapolis Police Department. They used to have 900 officers. Now it's down to 600. I wonder why that is. It wasn't because of protests. It was because the politicians believe in defunding the police. One could argue that the politicians are the ones who are truly dangerous.
Get back!
Okay, so what you just saw there in that clip also supports the argument that I have, is why aren't representatives condemning the behavior of protesters? These protesters are not peaceful. They're preventing ICE agents from leaving their vehicles. They're blocking vehicles. They're vandalizing vehicles. They're attacking ICE officers, impeding their operations. Don't you think if you want your community to be safe, you would be condemning that behavior?
And they keep spawning like NPCs. These people who think they're liberating someone when all they are whiny white women who have been so privileged their whole life they don't know what anything else is like than the perfect life they've lived. It's so hard to watch, and I definitely want to share it because it's cringy as fuck, okay? So I will see you next time.